This video is being made as an informative piece as well as a supportive piece for birth fathers out there. What I'm going to describe to you in this video is the process and phases of seeking custody of your child when there is an adoption involved. First off, it is a rather lengthy process. On average, it takes 3 to 5 years, sometimes as little as 2, depending on the circumstances and the venue of which state that this actually occurs. But for starters, if you are in this situation, what needs to be done initially is having yourself register with a putative father registry. And what that is a be on the lookout bulletin for a child that is either to be born or already has been born and has the potential of being placed for adoption. That form is downloadable from your state Job and Family Services Department. In my case, it was ODJFS for Ohio Department of Job and Family Services. It's a 2 to 3 page form, and what they ask is for very specific identifying information of the people involved, you, the mother, and the child. Try to be as specific as you possibly can with what information you do have. It's not limited to addresses, age, counties, hospitals, and it is amendable. So if you were to find out more information later on, you can always fill out a secondary and send it in, and it would be supplemental. The purpose of that is to really kind of put the red tape on a adoption proceeding before it happens. You can do this completely independently. Like I said, it is downloadable. You fill it out, you send it in, and you can supplement it if need be. Now, after that, what I advise you to do is hire an attorney who is a family law practitioner and deals with asserting parental rights, and if possible, given your location, if you can have an adoption attorney who deals with representing birth fathers and their rights, that would be probably a more pristine opportunity as far as getting the appropriate legal representation. Now, what has happened in my situation is that the putative father registry was filled out by me, and I hired an attorney. From that point, there will be a hearing on objection to an adoption proceeding, and from there is where the ball starts rolling for the next 3 to 5 years. You will endure 2, if not 3 trials, motion after motion, objection, appeal. And this is all, not entirely, but the majority of it is on the side of the adoptive parents and or the agency if they are involved. What you will have to do is go through at minimum 2 phases. One phase being identifying the issue of whether or not you abandoned the mother during her pregnancy and up to her surrender at birth, and what issues that will come up during that are issues of whether or not you provided financial support, possible housing, medical insurance or support, clothing, anything material and social. If you are taking her to her doctor's visits, if you're having some degree of relationship, whether it be an intimate relationship or just a responsible relationship, given your situation, that generally takes 12 to 18 months to get that phase completed and out of the way. Now, what will happen in phase 2 is that the adoptive parents, the agency, and the lawyer will now want to address the issue of whether or not you willfully abandon your child for a 12-month period or longer. And that's a very arguable issue, because what comes into play is that if you do not have physical custody of your child, how are you able to actually establish a relationship? Um, the child's being kept from you physically, and even on a communication level. They refuse to answer phone calls, refuse to reply to emails, things of that nature. My advice to you, to keep yourself in the positive spectrum of things, is, if you can't identify the adoptive parents and their address and their phone number, try to do as much as you possibly can. It is going to be limited, but just some examples of what you can do to keep yourself out of that argument is send birthday cards, send baby items, clothing, toys. Make that phone call. I can't say that they're going to take it or they're going to even want to talk to you, but you really need to be proactive on asserting some kind of communication, some kind of relationship with this child that is being kept from you. There's a 12-month period that they'll want to identify, either from birth up to 12 months or from your last point of contact up to 12 months. And like I said, it's, as far as Ohio goes, they will accept something as trivial as sending a birthday card, which happens annually. I'm not saying that I really don't think that anybody in this predicament would want to get by with the bare minimum. You would want to try as hard as possible to to be a father to your child. So that process, that second phase, will now put you at probably 18 to 24 months post-birth. Your child will be 2 going on 3 years old by the time you rectify this issue. After that, there will be a hearing that the adoptive parents and attorneys and agency will want to address, and that is the best interest of the child. And what the argument is on that is your child, who, although through means of deceit, have had, this duration of time to bond with a family, to bond with 2 parents, and possibly bond with other familial siblings. So it's very hard to kind of say which way that's going to go, because it does come down to what's in the best interest of the child. But even up to this point, I encourage you not to lose hope, to not let down your efforts, or to even rescind any kind of intention. This is your child, and through means of legal loopholes was taken from you. What I'm trying to convey is that there is hope, there is light at the end of the tunnel. It is a lengthy process, and it is very hard. There's just so much emotion that goes into it. That would have to be almost an entire other video to really describe what somebody in my predicament and possibly your predicament goes through on a daily basis. But that is the reality of what goes on in these situations. There is a degree of inadequacy, and the adoptive lawyers find ways to stall and prolong this to where you'll feel like all you can do is give up and just walk away, and that's not the case. It can be done. It's very very trying, I will say that. Those areas that I described initially is definitely what you're gonna go through. I'm not saying there won't be other circumstantial issues concerning your background, your employment history, your financial stability, really kind of anything that they can do to slander you or cut you down to something that's lesser of an ideal father, and it's wrong, but they do it. That's how they facilitate their business. It's it's in your it is in your best interest to really come out with guns a-blazing as far as your attorneys, and any kind of support that you would find in friends, family, and media outlets, Facebook, YouTube. Just really trying to describe to you what is going to happen and what you're going to be expecting to go through. It's at the end of it all, usually the best interest of the child hearing is a last straw for the adoptive parents and or the agency. At that point, they will very possibly try to offer some degree of mediation, and that is it's a con. It's a way to really kind of get you to relinquish your parental rights so that they can move on with what they had intended to do when they took your child. It's My advice to you is to not do it. Do not do your mediation. Continue with litigation. There's going to be a period where you're not going to see your kid. There's going to be a duration of time to where you have no contact, no pictures, no information. You're going to miss out on a lot of milestones. You really are, but you can't do anything to get that time back. All you can do is just keep on moving in the direction that you initially started, so that hopefully, I would hope before the age of 5, more so early as is possible, you can get your parental rights asserted, and you can become a father legally, and be identified as the father, and you can look forward to the rest of his or her life. I just really want to put this out there to say that this happens more often than you think, and it's not very well publicized, and you're not out there by yourself. It's not, don't think that you were just the 1 in a million chance of people that happens to. It's actually probably more like 1 in 100, maybe 1 in 400. It's ridiculously rampant as to how frequently this occurs. I just really want to put this out there so that the people that do find themselves in this unfortunate situation can have an idea of what this is going to take, what kind of hardships are going to be endured and can be expected. It's an unfortunate aspect of our society that this happens. So as of right now, this is probably all I can really tell you as far as an informative piece. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them, and I'll try to address them as accurately and as promptly as I can. So thanks.